the Fake Britain House, we'll reveal the fakes that are flooding the market, conning people like you and me and making money for the criminals. We'll investigate the fraudsters who are selling us something that isn't real and could be dangerous, and will help you avoid falling for a fake.
Today on Fake Britain, the lorries fitted with devices that fake their emissions.
Looks as we've got down here. Now this is the device which is giving us the fake signal and the fake reading.
The fake cancer cure causing life-changing injuries.
I want to get the message out there that things like this are fake and people should stay well away.
The children's food bowl that risks their health.
It's a serious contamination. We're getting leaching of the chemicals out of the plastic into food.
And the fake flea treatment for pets.
I was beginning to get increasingly suspicious because it definitely was not working.
There are thousands of lorries and vans travelling on UK roads every year whose drivers are cheating the system. They're faking tachograph recordings, the paperwork for their loads and even the vehicle's emissions. The Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency carries out operations to crack down on this criminality, and Fake Britain has been with them out on the roads near Carlisle.
The M6 in Cumbria, and Yusuf Iqbal is on patrol. He's an officer with the DVSA, the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency. He's on the lookout for vehicle fakery of all sorts. It's his job to stop dubious vehicles and bring them in for assessment.
It's a lot of sitting and waiting, just relying on your instincts.
Back at base is Paul Berryman. He's using the police's automatic number plate recognition system, which uses cameras to read number plates to spot dodgy vehicles. If he finds one, he'll radio Yusuf to pull them over. In particular, he's looking out for trucks that are breaking the rules or faking it.
We're looking for known abusers of the system. So we're looking for people that are known to have contravened driver's hours. We're looking for trailers with serious defects on. We're looking for vehicles that may be using manipulation devices to manipulate tachographs.
The tachograph system monitors and restricts truck drivers' hours, speeds and distances. There's one in every lorry. The team will be checking drivers aren't faking their tachograph readings. But first up, Yusuf's had a call about an overweight vehicle.
We've just had a hit on the AMPR cameras being monitored in the office, so we were going to go and intercept that vehicle. It looks very heavy. He was swapping lanes with the wind, underweight. Tango 2 to base. I'm just bringing in a vehicle now.
The truck is brought into the team's weighbridge and assessed. And there's a problem.
He currently weighs 3,840 kilograms, so he's going to be over his maximum weight there.
The truck's overweight, so the load will have to be redistributed before it can move.
Initially, it seems to be overweight by at least 10%.
The team routinely check the driver's tachograph records.
So now you're going London to Glasgow?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. So where did you rest?
And this time, there's been no fakery. Soon after, another truck is brought in, also suspected of being overweight.
Okay, can I just open your door? Thank you. Basically what I'm going to do is have a quick look around your vehicle and I'm going to download your tachograph. And one of my colleagues is going to come and have a look at your vehicle and trailer.
While Paul looks at the driver's tachograph records, Officer Jeff Halls gives the truck a once-over.
We're just going to do a quick roadside inspection of it.
He soon develops serious concerns about another aspect of the truck's operations. Its emission reduction system, called AdBlue. Because of the threat of high emissions to public health, steps are being taken across Europe to reduce harmful gases, especially from big polluting trucks. In order to meet the current emissions requirements, many older trucks now have to fit special equipment to reduce how much they're emitting. One of those systems is called AdBlue. It's a liquid solution that's injected into the lorry's exhaust gases to chemically reduce the levels of harmful nitrogen oxide and nitrogen dioxide gases.
On the instrument panel we've got actually a gauge on this particular vehicle which shows us how much AdBlue is in the vehicle. Looking on this particular vehicle, it's showing that the gauge is set at 3/4.
But the 3/4 level has set off Jeff's suspicions. AdBlue systems have been known in the past to have devices fitted to them to show they're full of environmentally friendly AdBlue when actually they're empty. Often these devices make the gauge permanently look like the tank is 3/4 full. And Jeff knows a way to see if that's the case here.
We'll actually remove that fuse just for the AdBlue, which should then disable the gauge. We'll now go back to the ignition, turn the ignition on the vehicle, and that gauge should still be getting nothing. However, if there's a device fitted to this, it'll still be getting the same signal that it normally gets to show that it's obviously got the device.
So if the gauge still reads 3/4, Jeff's got a faker.
The actual gauge now is still showing 3/4, and we've actually got the fuse removed. So that fuse should have cut power to that gauge, and it obviously hasn't. It's now still reading 3/4, which is giving us a fake reading, basically.
The fact the gauge isn't reading 0 can only mean one thing. A device has been fitted to the fuse box to send the wrong instructions to the gauge. Jeff goes searching.
What's this we've got down here? Yeah, this is the device. Now this is the device which is giving us the fake signal and the fake reading to the AdBlue.
It's an AdBlue emulator device, commonly on sale on the internet. The device itself isn't illegal, but using it to fake your emission readings is. And why would a truck driver want to fake it? Money. AdBlue can be expensive, up to £12 for 4 litres. By faking it, this extra cost can be avoided.
There's one company we've heard of recently whereby fitting these, they're saving around about £25,000 a year in the actual cost of the AdBlue that the vehicles are no longer using.
And there are other benefits. AdBlue systems need regular services, and some drivers believe they reduce a lorry's efficiency. By faking it like this, more costs are saved. Not only that, but drivers must register their truck's pollution reduction systems to avoid paying some road charges, such as London's low emission zone charge. It can be up to £200 a day, a cost saved by faking your gauge like this. Across the car park, Neil Atkinson has found another one.
And there's actually a device, cable tied into the wiring harness. This one's really easy to find. They're usually hidden away slightly better than that. It even has the words AdBlue printed on it that renders the truck's actual AdBlue emissions control system completely inoperative.
The downside for the general public with both these vehicles is that by cheating their AdBlue, they're continuing to churn out harmful gases at an illegal rate. This type of emissions cheating is growing as the authorities increase the regulations. The Volkswagen emissions scandal showed manufacturers have been prepared to cheat, and it appears some truck companies are willing to do the same. Jeff informs the driver of the first truck that he's been rumbled. He's issued with a prohibition notice.
So your company's got 7 days basically to get the vehicle put in for inspections to make sure that's been removed. Okay, and we will be keeping an eye out for every one of these vehicles that your company's operating. Okay, so tell your gaffer, if he's got them, get them taken off. Take care, sir. Have a safe journey, won't you? Tell him to get it looked at.
The DVSA is now also issuing on-the-spot fines of £300 for second offences.
Consequences of getting caught because of faking and fraud is that you're fraudulently declaring that you've got a low emission vehicle. And ultimately the operator could be brought in front of the traffic commissioner, who would remove his repute as an operator and therefore his licence and his livelihood.
Later, the battle for air quality continues, and the team finally catch themselves a tachograph faker.
The vehicle's actually moved in between those charts. What's happened there then?
This is called black salve. It's a herbal paste. It's a controversial and potentially dangerous substance that is sold as an alternative cancer cure. But experts say those claims are fake, and people using it may cause themselves real harm. Fake Britain has been investigating.
Karen Britton and Elizabeth Keys are both recovering from cancer.
I noticed a pimple on my skin and it turned out to be skin cancer. I had a little lump sort of right up on the corner of my right eye, and then it started to bleed. Came to see Dr. Fain, who was pretty sure it was basal cell skin cancer by looking at it.
Cancer, it's like everybody's worst fear, isn't it?
And it's that fear which leads some cancer sufferers to try alternative treatments for their tumours which aren't recommended by qualified doctors. Some of these are harmless, but some are extremely dangerous and can leave users with terrifying wounds. We should warn you that some viewers may find these images disturbing. These are caused by the fake cancer cure that has the medical community most worried, the black salve.
It's a dangerous item. People certainly shouldn't be purchasing or using it as a cancer treatment.
This is dangerous, this is fake, this should not be used.
So what exactly is the black salve? Dr. Emma Smith, Science Information Manager for Cancer Research UK, explains.
Black salve is an ointment. It's made up of various herbs that are extracted with a chemical called zinc chloride. And how it works is it's caustic. It basically burns and destroys skin tissue. The theory being that if you had something like a cancer, the idea is to literally destroy the cancer cells.
People using the black salve apply it in a poultice, which they wear against their skin for days at a time. Its caustic properties burn away skin and flesh slowly, creating a wound which scabs over and then falls off. The claim is that the salve has burnt away and then drawn out the cancerous material. Except, it doesn't.
The problem with black salve is it is dangerous in lots of ways. These products are unregulated, you simply don't know what's in there, you don't know what you're getting. And secondly, they're dangerous because they can cause severe damage to healthy cells. And there are stories and pictures of people who have permanently disfigured, have lost big chunks of their face from using ointments like black salve.
Both Karen and Elizabeth chose the conventional route to treating their cancers. They had operations to remove their tumours here at the Chapel Allerton Hospital in Leeds. Both are now recovering well. They can understand why someone diagnosed with cancer would ignore professional medical advice and choose alternative methods of treatment.
I think you are really vulnerable if you're frightened of something. Sometimes you're prepared to believe anything, aren't you? And I think that this is where people take advantage.
I suppose if they think there's a product on the market that would avoid surgery, then they would probably think that that was a better option. Why put themselves through the trauma or their body through the trauma of having a surgical procedure?
And avoiding surgery and chemotherapy is the promise that the black salve makes. Dr. Waliat Hussain is consultant dermatologist here in Leeds and regularly treats people with basal cell skin cancer, the type of cancer that black salve is most often used for.
Black salve makes this claim that it draws out the roots of skin cancer, which is completely false. It destroys anything in its path. And the worrying thing from the doctor's viewpoint is patients not diagnosing the skin cancer before they start treating. They may be inappropriately treating a completely harmless growth on their skin, which they thought was a skin cancer, but also very serious skin cancers which require definite surgery are inappropriately treated, which leads to problems down the line.
The black salve is considered so dangerous, the American Food and Drug Administration has listed it as a fake cancer cure and warned consumers to avoid it. Despite this, Dr. Hussain is hearing about more and more patients who've been diagnosed with cancer becoming interested in the black salve.
So I've heard of black salve for a number of years, mainly the horror stories that have been produced by people using it. And I've also had some patients bring some internet clippings into me and asking me, well, doctor, what do you think about this treatment? And I've given my honest opinion, which is stay well clear.
In a number of well-documented cases, people using the black salve have burnt away so much flesh they've been left with serious injuries. None would speak to us directly, but Dr. Mark Eliasson from the University of Utah interviewed dozens of users of black salve for the most extensive medical report done so far on the issue. We spoke to him via Skype.
We had an individual in his 50s who presented with a squamous cell skin cancer. He tried treating it, did not clear with black salve, so he went in to see a physician. He was diagnosed as a squamous cell cancer that was now widespread and very aggressive because time had passed to become much more dangerous. That individual went through a large excision. Most of the patient's ear, most of his face was removed. The individual eventually died from what happened. And it was this outcome where it didn't need to happen.
Dr. Eliasson said one of his patients self-diagnosed herself with skin cancer and also decided to treat it with the black salve.
Because it was damaging the skin, she developed a sore that grew, and her directions were to keep applying it to any areas that were sores. So it became this unfortunate cycle where the more sore it became, the more she applied, the wider the area she applied it to. She ended up with a sore in her back that was about 5 centimeters in diameter. This was one of the individuals who actually didn't need to treat it. We found out afterwards what she was treating weren't even skin cancers, they weren't dangerous.
The wounds caused by black salve can be very distressing. We asked Karen and Elizabeth for their comments.
I mean, that poor woman. Oh my dear goodness, that is really shocking. That is so shocking that somebody could sell something that could do that to people.
Oh wow, that's unbelievable. Gosh. I mean, they already had a problem, but they've made it a million times worse. And probably scarring that they're going to now be left with is probably going to be a lot greater than it would have been if they'd actually had surgery. I'm absolutely horrified.
Black salve is not illegal per se in the UK. However, under the terms of the 1939 Cancer Act, it is illegal to advertise it as a treatment for cancer.
So there's a blanket ban on anything being sold to the general public as a cancer cure or a cancer treatment. But unfortunately, as the internet has grown and grown, and as more people can buy things online and do buy things online, it has become an increasing problem. So it's a global market now. People can purchase things from websites in different countries.
We went online and found sellers advertising the black salve as a cancer cure. Some were based abroad, but some were based here in the UK. This British online natural remedy retailer was openly advertising the black salve as a cancer treatment. Its website states that it's a suitable chemotherapeutic regime and that it can kill cancer cells while not harming healthy cells. How wonderful is that, it asks. We bought a pot and it arrived a few days later. It came with instructions that contained further worrying claims. It's claims like this that are outlawed by the Cancer Act, meaning these adverts and this seller are breaking the law. With products like this being advertised in this way, it's no wonder that medical professionals are so concerned.
You know, as a doctor who spent all my life training to try and help people with evidence-based medicine, something like this makes me really, really angry and really upset. And I want to get the message out there that things like this are fake and people should stay well away.
For cancer survivors like Karen and Elizabeth, the message is clear.
I think they're criminals and they should be held to account for it. I think that's despicable to exploit people when they are at the most vulnerable.
If it doesn't come from the doctor, I wouldn't touch it. You've just got to trust the medical profession. I mean, the training that they go through, the knowledge that they have.
Earlier, we were with the DVSA in Cumbria as they set about catching vehicle fakers.
The world's tasked with reducing harmful emissions to the environment, and by fitting these devices, emissions are being increased over and above what they should be.
They've already stopped a number of overloaded or unsafe vehicles and bagged themselves 2 trucks using devices to fake their emission levels.
This is a prohibition notice, and we will be keeping an eye out for every one of these vehicles that your company's operating. Okay, so tell your gaffer, if he's got them, get them taken off.
As the day wears on, another vehicle has been brought in suspected of being overweight.
We want to take it to the inspection building and have a look on the inspection pit. So we're going to look all around the vehicle and see if there's any defects or any problems with the tachograph system.
While Neil checks the truck out, Paul takes us into the inspection pit underneath. It's the tachograph that records drivers' hours and distances, and the team need to check that it hasn't been interfered with.
This is the sender unit, which is picking up pulses of information from the transmission to tell when the vehicle is moving, which allows the tachograph to record. If it's been interfered with, then generally the seal will have been broken or tampered with.
This unit hasn't been fiddled with, but Paul's seen plenty which have been. He shows us some of the ways the sender units can be bypassed.
This is a rogues gallery of magnets that we've removed from vehicles that have been brought in, and they're all used for the same reason, and that is to fake the readings that the tachograph is recording. They're stuck on the sender of the vehicle, and basically it sets the tachograph to sleep. but it also disables all the safety features. So basically, a 44-ton vehicle that's limited to 90 kilometres an hour, 56 miles an hour by law, can do the same speeds as cars. Well, the favourite one is this one, which I can't actually get off because it's that powerful.
The devices range from deceptively simple magnets like these to the latest in high-tech bakery.
This is a tachograph sender unit that's been removed from a vehicle, and this one has been cleverly altered by fitting a second printed circuit board in deliberately to fool the system.
On newer vehicles, the data is recorded digitally and displays the vehicle's movements on a chart like this. This truck has an older style analogue tachograph, which records onto these paper discs, and that means Gavin Miller has to get his magnifying glass out.
First of all, we've found that the tractor unit's actually overloaded over its permitted weights on both the front and rear axles. Then looking at the driver's records, his tachograph records, the vehicle looks to have been driven in between two duties when the driver should have been resting.
Although the unit itself hadn't been sent to sleep with a magnet, by inspecting the driver's tachograph discs, Gavin can tell there's been distance driven between the last two records. It means he's been driving without the tachograph working, which is a serious offence. It's even worse to do it during a regulated driving break.
It's confirmed that there is just over 3 kilometres missing between the charts. It requires 11 hours off as a standard daily rest period. If he hasn't managed to make that because he's needed to load, there's a good chance that he's deliberately driven without the card in an attempt to hide it. The current record that he's got on use is fake. So I'm going to have to ask the driver a few questions.
Gavin wants to know why this truck driver has 3 kilometres missing between his last two tachograph charts.
Just stop your door, driver. Just looking at your charts from yesterday, the vehicle's actually moved at least 3 kilometres in between those charts. What's happened there then?
The driver says he had parked up for his rest period and removed his chart while his truck was being unloaded. He was then asked to move the truck and, as it was only a short distance, went ahead without the tachograph charting. But it doesn't matter why he's done it. He's faked his records and broken the law.
Just shut your door, okay?
Gavin brings the driver in for a formal caution.
Right, so I'm going to interview you regarding the offences of using an overloaded vehicle and obviously the offence of not using the tachograph card, okay? Now I've got to caution you, I've got to say that you don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you don't mention when questioned something which you later rely on in court, and anything you do say may be given in evidence.
The driver will have to stay at the centre for a proper 9-hour rest break and won't be able to move until he or his company have redistributed the weight in his truck.
The driver's hours rules are in place to ensure that the drivers stick to the maximum and minimum limits for driving time and daily and weekly rest, and it can be quite horrific when things go wrong.
The largest of these vehicles weigh up to 44 tonnes, and the results of a driver losing control can be devastating. This CCTV footage shows a 10-car pileup on an M25 slip road, caused by German driver Anton Mason. He'd left Germany the previous day and had covered 840 miles over the past 23 hours. He'd spent the last 15 of those behind the wheel. When he fell asleep at the controls, his vehicle ploughed into stationary traffic at 56 miles an hour. One elderly victim was pronounced dead at the scene, and 2 others airlifted to hospital. Anton Mason had been faking his tachograph records to stay on the road for longer. As well as the chart in his tachograph, investigators found other charts hidden in the cab and his clothing. He was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison. Stopping tachograph fakers and making sure drivers take their statutory rest breaks to prevent further tragedies is a priority for the team in Cumbria.
Tired drivers have proven to be at high risk to road safety. We regularly see the after effects of accidents, and they can be quite horrific. It is important that we're here to do this job and to ensure that those rules are enforced.
Back on the forecourt, and all that's left for Gavin to do is immobilise the tachograph faker's truck.
So because the vehicle's been put off the road for 9 hours with a prohibition notice, we're going to immobilise the vehicle for the 9-hour period with one of our immobilisation devices.
It's one taco faker off the road for now. He'll have to rest up for the 9 hours before he's allowed back on the roads. For the men and women of the DVSA in Cumbria, the hunt for the next faker goes on. Fleas can seriously harm your pet. They can cause infections and also anemia because they live on your precious pet's blood. Many owners use treatments like this to kill the fleas before they do that damage. But if you use this one, your pet wouldn't be getting the protection you wanted. It's a fake and can have dire consequences. This is Frontline. It's one of the most popular flea treatments for household pets on the market. It's used to treat pets like Wilmy. She has a serious flea infestation, so her owner's taken her to see RSPCA vet Dr. David Yates.
I need to have a look at her because her skin is not right.
Yeah, there's a flea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see it hopping around there?
Can, yeah.
Oh, there's a few more joining the party. And one there.
One there, yeah.
Oh, there we are. Got a little army of fleas.
Hundreds of thousands of household pets suffer from fleas every year, and flea infestations are a serious business.
On a daily basis, we see problems with fleas. Fleas are a parasite that can live on dogs and cats in particular. They can bite the animal that they live on and set off allergic reactions and skin disease. They can lay eggs in the house of the owners that they live in, and they can set off quite profound and worrying disease in animals. When fleas are affecting a kitten, for example, that can be life-threatening.
David uses a number of different flea treatments in his surgery, and Frontline is one of them.
This is Frontline. Frontline is a product that you can obtain from pet supermarkets or from the vets. You put it on the back of a cat's neck and it spreads along the coat and protects against flea infestation, fleas and ticks.
But recently, we've heard more and more stories about pet owners unwittingly paying out money for counterfeit Frontline. Liz Bowden thinks she's one of them. She's long been a keen cat owner.
So I have 2 cats, and they're very important. One's 13, the other's 12. They're part of the family, they really are.
But when Liz's cats both came down with a flea infestation, she needed to treat them fast. Liz had used Frontline successfully in the past, so decided to turn to it again.
I go to a supplier online to order my cat food and also Frontline because they do get fleas.
Frontline promises to both kill the fleas and the fleas' eggs. Liz applied the Frontline as instructed, putting a few drops from the pipette on the cats' necks. But this time, all didn't go to plan.
It definitely was not working. You clean the bedding and you sort out their stuff, and I noticed that their eggs were still being produced. Is this product working? Are the cats having the right dose? It definitely wasn't killing the eggs.
Liz was disappointed, and with good reason. A 6-pack of Frontline pipettes is about £30. Liz started to develop doubts about the nature of the product she bought.
I was beginning to get increasingly suspicious that it was a fake product.
Convinced she had a fake, in the end, she turned to another flea-killing brand. But what was wrong with the Frontline she bought? Liz no longer has the product, so we can't test it. But there's no doubt there is an issue with fake Frontline being sold online. And it's not just in Britain. The American Environmental Protection Agency was so concerned, it recently issued warnings about dangerous counterfeit pet flea treatments, including Frontline. We were tipped off about the suspected seller of fakes and decided to investigate. We ordered 2 boxes, costing £14.90 each, instead of the £29.50 recommended retail price. We took it to Dr. Sweater Ladler at Loughborough University to find out what's inside it. The main active ingredient of the genuine Frontline is fipronil, a powerful insecticide which attacks fleas' central nervous systems. We asked Sweater to test for its presence in the fake.
We took one pet from the authentic and one from the fake, and we dissolved each of them in
a suitable solvent. We then injected a sample, a quantity, into the GCMS machine in order to see whether that active ingredient, that fipronil, was there.
A GCMS machine is a gas chromatography mass spectrometer, which can identify different substances in a test sample. The results are shown on graphs or chromatograms like this. So what has Sweater found in our front line?
This peak in the real product represents the fipronil, and as you can see, there is no peak for the fake product. The fipronil wasn't present in the fake product.
So while the fakers have copied the packaging and state that it contains fipronil, the all-important active ingredient is, in fact, missing. And that matters.
Obviously, if you were to administer this particular fake product to your pet who was suffering from fleas, obviously they wouldn't be getting that particular active ingredient to resolve that problem. With the genuine product, that's been tested and regulated, so it's gone through numerous trials and tests over a number of years. With the fake products, that's not necessarily the case, so obviously that would be of concern for the pet.
Comparing the fake and genuine products, there are giveaways to help spot the counterfeits.
If you put them side by side, there are differences, for example, in the font and also in terms of some of the information that's on there.
One of the pipettes in the fake has leaked, but the biggest indicator that this is the counterfeit is the printing on the front. It's of a much lower quality, and the fakers seem to have photocopied the picture of the genuine cat. Fake products like this worry Dr. David Yates and the RSPCA.
The fact that people will be buying fraudulent or fake products is a concern to me. It can be two things. It may not do what we expect it to do. It could be a risk as well to the pet. When you go to a veterinary practice, when your pet is unwell, you can be sure that the medicines you obtain are both safe and effective.
David has advice for anyone looking to buy pet treatments online.
Avoid products that you're not certain of. They may be fake, they may cause harm to your pet, they certainly won't help.
The Port of Southampton. Every year, nearly 2 million shipping containers come through this dock. And it's the job of the Port Health Services to keep the public safe from any dangers that may lurk within them. Sandra Westacott is the team leader.
This is absolutely the front line in protecting people against dangerous, unsafe things.
One of her main jobs is checking the containers to make sure what's listed on the outside is the same as what's actually inside.
We frequently see fakery or fraudulent practice. We can carry out analytical tests to detect if something is what it is said to be, what people expect it to be, what it claims to be, or if it isn't, and indeed whether the product is dangerous or not. Our job is primarily about protecting consumers' health.
Today, she's already checked prawns from India.
Lovely condition.
Sardines from Asia.
We have a problem. This container is filthy, and this is not acceptable. Next.
And a whole consignment of groceries from Saudi Arabia that are making her very unhappy.
We have products of animal origin, products that are claiming to be organic and we haven't got the certification. We have products that are not listed and we are 10 feet into a 40-foot container. This is full of problems.
This consignment will sit in Southampton for the team to go through it box by box. Before she can relax, there's another container which needs checking. And there's something very specific the team are looking for. The container comes from China and features mainly kitchenware. In particular, it contains 42 boxes of children's plastic food bowls and plates with a Spider-Man design on them. But they're believed to be fake, unlicensed products, and, more importantly, plastics from China must be checked carefully.
So we're looking at some Spider-Man bowls with special rules and regulations from Chinese products, plastic kitchenware, plastic utensils, and we test for the presence of melamine.
Melamine is a carcinogenic chemical which in poorly made bowls and plates can migrate from the plastic into the food people are eating from them.
These chemicals are toxic, they shouldn't be there, they should be very inert, they should be safe and no danger.
The bowls and plates will need to be sent off for lab testing to see if they meet safety standards.
We found another one here at the front.
The team searched the container to make sure they got all the relevant boxes.
I've only got three. They've just seem to have disappeared now. It's gone into another type of product.
There should be quite a few in there. 42 boxes, I think there is.
Underneath there.
Yeah. Bring those ones you've got out.
All right.
Here we are, Sandra.
We've extracted the articles from the container that we were looking for. And from here, we were just sampling.
Spider-Man plates. I was mentioning it for Christmas, I don't know.
We have certificates from our producers that these products don't contain melamine, but the reason we're testing is to check that the certification is correct.
Sandra's team will impound the bowls until the validity of the certificate can be confirmed.
If we find that there is melamine in the products, then we have a number of enforcement options to prevent the products getting into the marketplace.
There's a good reason Sandra and her team are being so careful with products like this. Plastic crockery aimed at children must be safe, as parents here at the Malcolm Children's Centre in London appreciate. Today they're having a Cook With Your Kids class.
When you buy bowls for children, it's usually a character that they like, so that's what you're looking at.
Instantly she saw the design and wanted to know what it is.
To see whether the Spider-Man bowls would be fit for children, we went to Kent Scientific Services to watch as they tested the samples from Southampton. Public analyst John Griffin will put them to the test, and he can tell just by looking at them that they do contain melamine.
In this instance, we know it's made of melamine formaldehyde. These are quite hard, rigid plastic materials which are used specifically for things like plates and bowls.
So the certification that came with them saying they didn't contain melamine was fake. But that's not the most important thing. Being made from melamine formaldehyde isn't necessarily a problem. Thousands of products are made from it. The key is to make sure they've all been made well enough that the formaldehyde, which is a carcinogenic substance, doesn't migrate from the bowl to the food inside.
So it is allowed in there, it just shouldn't come out. It should stay in the plastic and should not migrate into food, therefore contaminating the food as a result.
To test whether the formaldehyde does migrate, John fills the bowl with water, puts it into an oven to replicate hot food, and then analyses the liquid afterwards. The legislated limit for how much formaldehyde can migrate to food is a rigid 15 milligrams per kilo. So, how has the Spider-Man bowl got on?
In this instance, we were getting above what we would call our legislated limit, which we found in excess of 20. So we're getting leaching of the chemicals out of the plastic into food, and those chemicals should not be in food in the first place. So it's a serious contamination concern.
Even more worryingly, it's not the only occurrence of migrating formaldehyde in children's crockery that John's seen.
We have seen other designs with similar problems. Another example is the Thomas the Tank Engine, where once they're tested, we found the same sort of problem. These two are giving levels in excess of 30, so again that's up to twice the legislative limit.
And the reason why this migration is happening? These bowls are all fakes. Cheap Chinese counterfeits of the real licensed product.
The worry is that these are not the genuine article and these are counterfeit products. If it was a genuine product and it was manufactured under correct conditions, you would not expect to get either any migration or very limited migration into the food. These contaminants, once they get into systems, will remain and they will cause damage to your system, to your body.
Back at the Malcolm Children's Centre, we told some of the mums about John's findings.
I
think it's shocking. Might not even see the effects that they could cause while they're still this young. I think it's really scary.
They are targeting children, nobody else.
As soon as a child sees it, they're going to want it. And if you don't have any clue about this, you're not going to know.
John's results mean that these fake Spider-Man bombs, like the fake Thomas the Tank Engine ones, will at least never end up in the UK marketplace. That's all from Fake Britain. Goodbye. Here at the Fake Britain House, we'll reveal the fakes that are flooding the market, conning people like you and me, and making money for the criminals. We'll investigate the fraudsters who are selling us something that isn't real and could be dangerous, and will help you avoid falling for a fake. Today on Fake Britain, the lorries fitted with devices that fake their emissions.
Looks as if we've got down here. Now this is the device which is giving us the fake signal and the fake reading.
The fake cancer cure causing life-changing injuries.
I want to get the message out there that things like this are fake and people should stay well away.
The children's food bowl that risks their health.
It's a serious contamination. We're getting leaching of the chemicals out of the plastic into food.
And the fake flea treatment for pets.
I was beginning to get increasingly suspicious because it definitely was not working.
There are thousands of lorries and vans travelling on UK roads every year whose drivers are cheating the system. They're faking tachograph recordings, the paperwork for their loads and even the vehicle's emissions. The Driver and Vehicle Standard Agency carries out operations to crack down on this criminality, and Fake Britain has been with them out on the roads near Carlisle. The M6 in Cymru, and Yusuf Iqbal is on patrol. He's an officer with the DVSA, the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency. He's on the lookout for vehicle fakery of all sorts. It's his job to stop dubious vehicles and bring them in for assessment.
It's a lot of sitting and waiting, just relying on your instincts.
Back at the base is Paul Berryman. He's using the police's automatic number plate recognition system, which uses cameras to read number plates to spot dodgy vehicles. If he finds one, he'll radio Yusuf to pull them over. In particular, he's looking out for trucks that are breaking the rules or faking it.
We're looking for known abusers of the system. So we're looking for people that are known to have contravened driver's hours. We're looking for trailers with serious defects on. We're looking for vehicles that may be using manipulation devices to manipulate tachographs.
The tachograph system monitors and restricts truck drivers' hours, speeds and distances. There's one in every lorry. The team will be checking drivers aren't faking their tachograph readings. But first up, Yusuf's had a call about an overweight vehicle.
We've just had a hit on the AMPR cameras being monitored in the office, so we were going to go and intercept that vehicle. It looks very heavy. He was swapping lanes with the wind, underweight. Tango 2 to base. I'm just bringing in a vehicle now.
The truck is brought into the team's weighbridge and assessed. And there's a problem.
He currently weighs 3,840 kilograms, so he's going to be over his maximum weight there.
The truck's overweight, so the load will have to be redistributed before it can move.
Initially, it seems to be overweight by at least 10%.
The team routinely check the driver's tachograph records.
So now you're going London to Glasgow? Yeah. Yes? Okay. So where did you rest?
And this time, there's been no fakery. Soon after, another truck is brought in, also suspected of being overweight.
Okay, can I just open your door? Thank you. Basically what I'm going to do is have a quick look around your vehicle and I'm going to download your tachograph and one of my colleagues is going to come and have a look at your vehicle and trailer.
While Paul looks at the driver's tachograph records, Officer Jeff Halls gives the truck a once-over.
We're just going to do a quick roadside inspection of it.
he soon developed serious concerns about another aspect of the truck's operations. Its emission reduction system, called AdBlue. Because of the threat of high emissions to public health, steps are being taken across Europe to reduce harmful gases, especially from big polluting trucks. In order to meet the current emissions requirements, many older trucks now have to fit special equipment to reduce how much they're emitting. One of those systems is called AdBlue. It's a liquid solution that's injected into the lorry's exhaust gases to chemically reduce the levels of harmful nitrogen oxide and nitrogen dioxide gases.
On the instrument panel we've got actually a gauge on this particular vehicle which shows us how much AdBlue is in the vehicle. Looking on this particular vehicle, it's showing that the gauge is set at 3/4.
But the 3/4 level has set off Jeff's suspicions. AdBlue systems have been known in the past to have devices fitted to them to show they're full of environmentally friendly AdBlue when actually they're empty. Often these devices make the gauge permanently look like the tank is 3/4 full. And Jeff knows a way to see if that's the case here.
We'll actually remove that fuse just for the AdBlue, which should then disable the gauge. We'll now go back to the ignition, turn the ignition on the vehicle, and that gauge should still be getting nothing. However, if there's a device fitted to this, it'll still be getting the same signal that it normally gets to show that it's obviously got the device.
So if the gauge still reads 3/4, Jeff's got a faker.
The actual gauge now is still showing 3/4, and we've actually got the fuse removed. So that fuse should have cut power to that gauge, and it obviously hasn't. It's now still reading 3/4, which is giving us a fake reading, basically.
The fact the gauge isn't reading 0 can only mean one thing. A device has been fitted to the fuse box to send the wrong instructions to the gauge. Jeff goes searching.
Looks as we've got down here. Yeah, this is the device. Now this is the device which is giving us the fake signal and the fake reading to the AdBlue.
It's an AdBlue emulator device, commonly on sale on the internet. The device itself isn't illegal, but using it to fake your emission readings is. And why would a truck driver want to fake it? Money. AdBlue can be expensive, up to £12 for 4 litres. By faking it, this extra cost can be avoided.
There's one company we've heard of recently where by fitting these they're saving around about £25,000 a year in the actual cost of the AdBlue that the vehicles are no longer using.
And there are other benefits. AdBlue systems need regular services, and some drivers believe they reduce a lorry's efficiency. By faking it like this, more costs are saved. Not only that, but drivers must register their truck's pollution reduction systems to avoid paying some road charges, such as London's low emission zone charge. It can be up to £200 a day, a cost saved by faking your gauge like this. Across the car park, Neil Atkinson has found another one.
And there's actually a device, cable tied into the wiring harness. This one's really easy to find. They're usually hidden away slightly better than that. It even has the words AdBlue printed on it that renders the truck's actual AdBlue emissions control system completely inoperative.
The downside for the general public with both these vehicles is that by cheating their AdBlue, they're continuing to churn out harmful gases at an illegal rate. This type of emissions cheating is growing as the authorities increase the regulations. The Volkswagen emissions scandal showed manufacturers have been prepared to cheat, and it appears some truck